Hello everyone, my name is Jared Links. I'm the owner here at Simple Bites of Life. I hope that you are having a blessed day. Hope you're enjoying the beekeeping season so far. It's the last part of the spring honey production, isn't it? We're here closing out the year, and one of the things that I hear a lot of beekeepers asking is, how do I get the bees to draw out the frames? How do I get them to maximize the honey production? How do I get them to start building out comb on those blank frames? Well, we're going to talk about all that here today. We're going to talk about checkerboarding. We're going to talk about opening up the brood nest. And so let's head out to the bee yard. Let's dive in together. Let's maximize the last part of this honey production here in the spring 2024. Let's go out to the yard together. Alright, so a lot of you guys are in a situation where you're dealing with a nucleus colony, right? Maybe you got your first nuke, this is your first year of beekeeping. That's so exciting. Maybe you're a little bit more experienced beekeeper, and so you have those splits that are only a couple of months old at this point, and you're like, what do I have to do to get these things to draw out more comb? What do I have to do to get them to move through this blank comb? What do I have to do to get them to expand this brood nest? So we're going to talk a little bit about opening up the brood nests and making them work through that just a little bit quicker. I do want to put a disclaimer on this, okay? You want to be very careful about separating frames of brood, especially early on in the year. So brood, of course, is the young developing bees, and so whenever we're talking about separating them, we're talking about like putting a blank frame or perhaps a drawn out frame of comb that has nothing in it in between a couple frames of brood. So one of the great things you can do, especially whenever it starts getting, you know, for me, I like it to be probably above about 70. It's staying about 70 or above on the temperatures. If I'm going to be going through this, I really don't want to see the lows dipping down below that 65 to 70 range if I'm going to be doing this on a young developing colony. But you can take a frame of drawn out comb and you can put it right in between a couple of frames where the queen's been laying, and she'll just start laying there, and it gets some even more brood production, and that's really helpful. That's a helpful way to go about it. You can put a blank frame there as well, but really I think that I've had more success putting the blank frames between food frames more than anything else. So let's open up this colony and let's dive in here. You just want to be careful again. Don't separate frames of brood whenever it's too cold, because you don't want to get chilled brood. With that being said, let's go ahead and let's open her up together. So this colony here brings us to another point that I want to address just as we're walking through this. Another question that I'm getting asked a lot is, what does a colony look like before you should be ready to expand it? Well, this colony here is ready for their second box, if not a little bit more. You guys can see there's a solid really 8.5 frames I've covered with bees that are working here, and they're really working well. So you have about 8.5 frames that are covered with bees. They're working on those frames. Here in the spring, you have 7 or 8 frames that are covered. Go ahead and add that second box or a third box or fourth box or wherever your colony is at in the progression, and you're ready to go. So this colony here, over 7 to 8 frames covered with bees, and we're starting to have work on all of them. We're ready to add a second box. Whenever that second box gets to a point where it has 7 or 8 frames of bees, then we'll add a third box, and so on and so forth. So hopefully that kind of helps to give that information there. But we're going to check out this concept of opening up the brood box here. So if I just pull out this very far frame here, you guys can see, right? This is a blank frame. I mean, this is pretty well completely blank. So we're going to set that over here to the side, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to move over this next frame. We're going to see what does it have on it. What does it have on it? Well, let's pull it out here. What do we have? We have nectar. Lo and behold, we have nectar here on this particular frame. Do we have any nectar on this side? Nope, we don't really have any nectar on this side. So let's go ahead and let's glance. The next frame over is brood. So you know what? I'm just going to leave that next frame where it is. We're going to take this part of the frame that has nectar on it, and we are going to point it to the outside. So the nectar now, the part of the frame that is the fullest drawn out, it is pointing this way, and we're going to put it over here against the wall. We're going to put it over here against the wall. So we're swapping out where these frames were, and now we're going to put this blank frame, right here on the inside, and that is going to encourage those bees to go ahead and draw out that blank frame and to draw out this side even quicker. It's going to encourage them to do both of those things. Now let's look over here on this side. Look over here on this side of the colony and see what we have. Let's see what we have going on here. We're going to pull this frame out very gently here. They got it all good and stuck for us. We're going to pull this out. What do we got? We got nectar. We got nectar on that frame. And then we got just a little bit of nectar on this side too. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and set that down. And now we're going to grab this next frame on over. We're going to see what they got here. We got nectar on this side. And then we got nothing, okay? We got nothing. So we're gonna move this side here that's emptier. We're gonna put it inside. We're gonna put it on the inside. And then in this case, we're gonna go ahead, because this frame actually I think is a little bit more, we're gonna grab the frame, this part of this frame that has the least amount of nectar on it, and we're gonna put it on the inside too. And so that is a real example there of trying to get them to draw out quicker, add in nectar quicker here by moving this blank frame over, and then by putting the frame on the outside, the part of it that had the least amount of production in it. So in this case, the least amount of nectar and pollen. We're going to put it facing the inside, and that's going to encourage them to build that out even quicker as well. So that's thinking through this on a single story brood nest. Now let's take this concept and let's move forward and let's talk about checkerboarding now. Not just opening a brood nest, let's talk about checkerboarding in a bigger colony to maximize honey production. Okay, so now let's talk about something that probably a lot of you guys are going to be able to sympathize with, right? So let's say that you have a little bit bigger colony that is just like this one right here. It's actually a 4-box colony at this point. There's 1 deep and then 3 medium. So you have a 2-box brood chamber. You have a brood chamber consisting of 1 deep and 1 medium, and then we have 2 mediums for honey production above that. And what's going on right now is this 3rd box is absolutely just chock full of nectar, guys. Like, it's just full of nectar. And yet this 4th box here, it's pretty much completely blank. So if I just take one of these frames here and I show you this is pretty well the most production that we got, right? So you literally have just a little couple of pockets of drawn out comb, just a little faint nectar, but for the most part we're dealing with 90% or more of this frame being just this plastic foundation here. How do we get them to begin to draw this out? Well, I want to show you a couple of things on this. So we're gonna set this frame down here to the side. We're gonna take this top box off. All right, we're gonna take this top box off. And then what we're going to do is, if we had a situation to where this 3rd box, let's say that one of these 2 outer frames was blank, right? One of these 2 outer frames was blank. We would then take this blank frame and swap it for one of these full frames. So we move the full frame outside over here, and we move the blank frame right in the middle so that they would begin to draw that out quicker. Now that's not needed here in this case. So what we're going to do is we took a blank frame out of that 4th box. We're going to take one of these full frames out of this 3rd box, right? So you guys can see this here. It is chock full of nectar. Chock full of nectar. We're going to take that and we're going to put it right in the middle of the 4th box, just like this. So now you have all of these blank frames, and you have this one frame full of nectar right there. Now if you wanted to, you could take 2 or 3 of these, and you could do that as well. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a blank frame. We're gonna take our blank frame that we took from that 4th box, and we're gonna put it right here in the middle. Okay, now that's gonna help you process quite a bit. That's gonna help them draw it out. That's really tip number 1. Now let me show you a second thing that you can do to help add on here. All right, this works sometimes and it doesn't work other times. I'm just gonna tell you that from experience. I've had this be beneficial, I've had it not be beneficial. This part right here, swapping out these blank frames and the frames full of nectar, that works, that's great. This is just an extra benefit if this works as well. We're gonna take this 3rd box that's mostly full and we're gonna yank it right off of here. We're gonna put this emptier box here right on top. Okay, so this is the box again. We have blank frames, and that 1 frame of nectar that we put right in the middle. And now we're gonna take our box that's fuller and we're gonna put it right on top. That can help the bees to produce more honey in that box that is much more empty. It can be beneficial. So tip number 1, swap out the frames like we just did. That's definitely going to be the most helpful thing in my experience. Tip number 2, you can swap the place of the boxes as well to where your fuller box is on top, and that can be beneficial, but again, sometimes that one is not as effective. So keep both of those in mind, use both of those, and that will definitely help them to draw out those blank frames and to increase your honey production. Well, I hope that this video has been of benefit to you for coming in and explaining how we as beekeepers can increase our honey production, help the bees to draw out quicker on those blank frames, and also give our queens a little bit more space to lay and increase that food storage down in that brood chamber. Hopefully this has been beneficial for all of you, and I know that that if you just take and you apply what we cover in this video, you're going to be able to see that honey production increase, be able to see those frames get drawn out quicker. So hopefully this has been a blessing. Be sure and check out the link below to sign up for our free email list where we send out educational resources and updates about the business and everything like that. And we will see you in the next video. Happy beekeeping. God bless.